What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's enjoying their week so far. I know I haven't been doing as many lives on my personal page as much because I've been doing those more in the Facebook group where I'm talking about more tactical mindset stuff and strategies in order to help sales pros and ex-athletes get in shape. So if you'd like to join that group, let me know down in the comments below. But aside from that, let me know whether you guys joining me live or on a replay, hashtag live, hashtag replay, and then let me know the city and state as well. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know where you guys are coming from so I can actually engage with you on this live. But the other thing that does is it does help me boost the algorithm in terms of getting my message out to more people. So anytime that you guys are engaging, liking, commenting, sharing, tagging your friend, hearting, whatever it is, it does help me get my message out to more people. So I do appreciate that as well. So quick message for you guys today, and it's not necessarily going to be like my usual like tactical how-tos and 3 steps for this and 6 keys for that. It's going to be more about just something I hear come up a lot. So topic for today's video is I hate the way my clothes fit. And I think this is interesting because I feel like it's not something that gets talked about enough, but it's something that people are thinking, if that makes sense. I don't know who just hopped on. Thanks for watching. Let me know down below who it is, where you're coming from, the whole 9 there. So I hear this one a lot, especially when I get on the phone with guys who want to talk about getting in better shape. And, you know, a lot of people, these people don't usually have people in their lives checking in on them. They're usually the guys that check in on everybody else. They're the ones making sure everyone else is happy, making sure the family's good, making sure the bills are paid, making sure that everything's taken care of. But nobody usually checks in with them, or very few people do. So on this side of things, that's what makes like what I do pretty interesting, because it's like the conversations I have with them, it's like, people aren't asking them these types of questions. So when we figure out their goals and we ask them why it's important to them, a lot of guys will tell me that they're not confident in the way their clothes fit. And I think it's interesting because these are usually coming from guys who work in sales. They used to be the athlete, star football player in high school, college, etc. Usually guys in leadership positions. So they usually have an air of confidence to them. But they'll tell me that. They'll tell me they're not confident in the way their clothes fit. And I can tell it's something that they haven't really told many people, or they don't vocalize, or they kind of keep it in their head and it kind of eats at them in a sense. And they'll tell me that among other things. And usually the clothes not fitting is usually a secondary driver. And by that, I just mean it's not the most important thing to them. Like, it'd be nice if my clothes fit better, but the main thing is legacy, purpose, longevity, anything else that they're telling me. But it does still affect them in a sense, in terms of just not being confident in the way they look in clothes. And again, it's something they probably wouldn't admit to other people because, or vocalize or put out there, because they don't want to show that weakness as a leader. Sometimes they think that vulnerability or just admitting that they're not confident in the way they look would not be on brand with who they see themselves as. And I guess on that note, it is true, because they do see themselves as a confident leader and someone who values health and looking great in their clothes and stuff like that. And if you're not doing things aligned with that, I guess that is out of integrity. So I understand the disconnect there, but it affects them sometimes, man. It affects your ability. If you're watching this and you struggle with the same thing, you may find that it affects your ability to stay present. You may feel like you're giving a sales presentation or a presentation at work, or you're in an interaction with somebody and it's a sales or business conversation, or you're showing a house or whatever, and you feel like it affects your ability to stay present because you're like, oh, maybe it's something that other people don't see, but you notice it. Like, I'll hear things like, I hate when I put on a dress shirt and, I see the little muffin top spilling out, or I see, everything else is slim, but then I just have these love handles that just stick out of my shirt, or, the way their clothes fit. Maybe they're wearing baggier clothes than they would like to, and they're not wearing the nice clothes that they had envisioned for themselves when they go to an interview, when they're in a sales meeting, when they're giving a presentation. They're not wearing those nice clothes that make them feel confident and therefore able to do their job at a higher level. Because, Deion Sanders said it best. You look good, you feel good, and then you play good, and then they pay good, right? Something like that. But anyway, I find that it affects people's ability to stay present because they feel like people are judging them, how they look. You could be giving a sales presentation or something, and you're in your own head about what you're doing and what you're saying because you feel like people are judging you, instead of just being 100% focused on your message and engaging with the audience. And the reason I bring this up is because if it's something, like I said before, if it's something you won't admit because you feel like it makes you, a bad leader, it shows weakness on your part to not be confident, and that's how you see yourself normally in other areas of your life, not being honest about that keeps you from being able to do something about it, so that you can take your sales game to the next level, so that you can take your leadership and integrity to the next level and obviously be the best version of yourself. So on that note, I do want to admit that I've struggled with the same thing, especially when I was younger. Like those who know me from high school, they'll know I was 70 pounds. Like, so I was probably the smallest kid in my class, like every year my whole life, right? And that was something I was insecure about growing up. It's like I was never the kid who was overweight or the chunky kid or anything like that and had to lose weight. I was always the opposite. Like, I was in a lot of sports and I was very active and I enjoyed working out, but I was just so small that I would say up until my freshman year of college, I was still wearing kids size clothes. And that was something that I was embarrassed about because I would never like be able to find clothes that fit me the way I wanted to. And on that note, they don't make the nice clothes I wanted to wear that would fit me properly and that would look better in those kid sizes that I was wearing back then. So I would never even be able to dress the way I wanted to just because of that. So I was like, and I could just remember back to like even playing sports and getting changed in the locker room. I would get dressed in the locker room and I would be embarrassed to like get changed. Or I would get changed off on the side because I'm like, I don't want anybody to see the size on my shirt. They're going to know I wear like a kid's large or something. I'm a senior in high school, right? So that type of stuff used to affect me in a sense, and it would help me. It would cause me to be in my own head about what I was wearing, and it would affect my confidence as well, right? Like I keep talking about, or I just spoke about the locker room situation. Sometimes I feel like people were like judging me because they knew, even though I didn't tell them, or that they would have no way of knowing that I was wearing a kid size. But I'm like, they're definitely judging me. They can tell I'm wearing like a kid's large right now, and I'm the only kid in my grade or my age doing that because I'm so small, right? Made up all these stories around it, and it just affected my confidence and my ability to stay present. If I was giving a presentation in class or talking to people, I would constantly be fixated on this thing that nobody else would probably even cared about, right? So, of course, I decided to do something about it. And, eventually started working out. And by no means was that the only reason I started working out, but it was a pretty big driver in the beginning. And that's kind of brings me to my lesson here. The lesson here is that your why can change. So it doesn't really matter why you get started, because the hardest part for most of you guys in this position who procrastinate and you're busy, I get it. The hardest part for you guys usually is starting and then keeping that over time. But if you're waiting for that wave of motivation to come around, you're gonna miss the bus, right? Like motivation weans, it ebbs and flows, and it's gonna fall off at some point. So we can't just rely on that. We gotta have a very compelling reason to want to get started. And reason I bring it back to this is because that why can change for you. You may get started because you don't like the way your clothes fit, but your why can change over time. It doesn't have to be this noble, world-saving, life-changing type of thing. It could be just, I want to look better in my suits. And it could be a vanity thing. And I feel like people are ashamed to say that. They don't admit that. And I'll be the first to admit that was one of the reasons I got started. And eventually my why changed because once I started looking better in clothes and obviously gaining the muscle that I wanted to, looking a certain way, if I was only driven by that, I probably would have stopped. But then I started falling in love with the routines and what I was doing and how it was improving other areas of my life. And my why eventually changed. And to the point where I'm able to help guys like y'all watching this do the same type of thing. So your why and your purpose can change, but whatever gets you started, it doesn't really matter what it is. It just has to be important enough for you to want to take action. So maybe you're worried about, I do want to fit in my suits better, but that's not strong enough to keep me going. But just understand it can change, and it probably will, because you're going to be a different person at that point. Once that problem's solved, you're going to have different problems. Therefore, you're going to require different solutions. And, you're probably going to be a different person at that point, and you'll be driven by different things. So you never know where this journey can take you, but you rob yourself of that opportunity to even see that if you don't get started because you're worried about your why not being strong enough, or you're not being honest with yourself about what you want, guys. So quick message today. That's my little thing on not liking the way your clothes fit. It's okay to admit that, even if you're somebody who sees yourself as this confident guy. But hopefully y'all found this message helpful. Let me know if you guys have any other questions or takeaways down below.